استاد سابق دانشگاه تهران و محقق فعلی در برلین هستند. خانم نوایی بفرمایید.
I'll talk about the women's life as a struggle. And I would like also to dedicate this talk to the brave women in Middle East and North Africa. In countries like Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran, Pakistan, Syria, Israel, Palestine, Egypt, Tunis, Marrakesh, Algeria, Somalia, and others. These women are struggling day and night for their life. And also I dedicate to their supporter overseas. I said supporter because the supporters are playing a great role today to bring this struggle to the attention of the world's public, since the official media usually ignore these struggles. And under the pressure of the democratic people of the world, sometimes they talk about this kind of struggles without giving the reason of this struggle. Because we are actually hearing sometimes from this struggle, but usually they don't analyze what is the reason of it. And I'm going to talk actually about in maybe two different parts. First of all, after the talk of Merdad, actually on the occasion of the election, I just add few words. And then I move to the second and major part of my talk today about the autonomous movement of the Iranian women after the revolution of 1979. And I think this actually experience that we came over and we lost, we didn't win actually this struggle at this time, is going to be a good experience for my sisters and comrades in North Africa, especially today. And at the end, I just give few words to these women, because from the beginning actually of the movement in North Africa, I tried to be in active connection with them. I tried to be day and night actually to find some of them and talk. We exchange a lot of things. At the beginning, they didn't believe the situation, like we did in Iran. At these days in Iran, the power are struggling. The different part of the power, the different part of the establishment are struggling over the election of the presidential, the election which all of these years actually the people didn't have any right to nominate their own candidate. And as Merdad mentioned, especially this segregation against women, 50% of the population plus 14% of the minorities, it means that 64% of the population, they don't have any right to nominate their own candidate. What is the election then? This is actually the step. They are playing these roles between the different part of the powers in the establishment of the Islamic dictatorship. And I just like, and anyhow, at the end also, the only one that can accept and has the last word after the Guardian Council, Shorای Nigahban, the Wali Faqih, also the leader, the main leader of the country, Khamenei, has the word over that who is going to be actually the next president. So it has to be from the beginning till now like that. I remember the time that Bani Sad also came to the power. It was the same thing, the same situation. A little bit different, but I mean that who who was giving the last word. That time Khomeini, now Khamenei. And the only thing that I would like to mention here, that why part of the opposition, that they call themselves opposition, they get involved in this election. This is very sad for me to see, read last weekend, I think that was last weekend I read it, that the Fadayan majority and also another organization related to them, they took a position and protest against the Guardian Council, why they actually didn't accept the candidate of the Rafsanjani and Mashai. And my question is, why in this situation that we know everything is undemocratic, why we have to get involved in it? What is the reason of it? I as a woman, and today as a German Iranian woman, my position is that I try only to say what I need to be changed in Iran. And I tried, especially from the last election, 2008 to today, with parts of the women that I was actually in connection, we tried to put out also our Bill of Rights. If any of you are interested, because it's not the topic of my talk, maybe at the end we are going to discuss about it. I have very few copies of it here. In the part 2, the women's movement in the time of the Iranian Revolution, 1979. I give very short background, and then I'll start actually to give my own experience as one of the member of this organization and also founder of this organization, because we fought in the first 4 years of the, after revolution to the last moment that it was possible any kind of activity in Iran. Before 1979 also, during the Shah's movement, as a history, I just give a short background. After 1941, that Shah came to the power, 1950 to 1950, it was a little bit actually possibility for the different groups to organize themselves, including women's, and also some of the workers' movement, some of the students, some of the teachers, a little bit the democratic actually section of the society, they did have rights for some kind of organization. But after 1950s, it started to be very, very limited, this possibility, and came to the 53, the coup of the CIA in Iran against Prime Minister Mossadegh, the nationalist actually prime minister in Iran. And after that, everything became almost impossible. Because when Shah came to the power in 53, came back, then started everything to be banned, and they banned also including the women's movement, the women's organization. Because before this period, there was also few organizations, and also there was also some of the journals and magazines that they put out. And what they put all of them? They put all of them under one organization that they made it, Sazman Zanan, the Association of Women, which they actually only allowed the people that they are part of the, accept the government's policy. But and in this situation, we came to the situation, revolutionary situation in 79. 79, my generation, and also younger than me, we came to the situation, we came to the struggle without having any experience, any kind of the social movement actually experience. And from the first day, before actually the Islamists they come to the power, they started to put a lot of pressure against the little rights of the women. And already illegally, they banned some of them, like the some of the family law or something like that. And a few days after revolution, they also banned the women from the judiciary position. The women's judge, they couldn't work anymore. And first, March of 8th, the first actually International Women's Day, that was the first chance for the Iranians to celebrate their own, because this day also was not allowed in the Shah's time to celebrate the International Women's Day. They started to prepare actually some possibility. Day before of this, on March 7, Khomeini started to give a talk against the women, but he said that the women can only go to the work if they wear Islamic hijab. And that was the reason that all of a sudden, millions of the people, of the women all over Iran, they came to the streets and they put actually their protest, and they continue for 6 days. Not only in Tehran, in many other cities. And from this moment, which is a very special day for the Iranian movement, a lot of things continues. And also this gender segregation and also repression against women started and continue to today. From this day till now, the women's life is a struggle, day and night, not only in public, also in private, because the Iranian women, they don't have actually rights to live how they like at home also. The government has hand all over the private life of the people too. It's not only the public life. And from the different viewpoint, they are not allowed to publish. In the first 4 years, that also my organization, that I was active also, اتحاد ملی زنان, we started to organize ourselves, and we started actually to fight also about what the government, but against the policy of the government, against Islamization rules, against the Sharia law that started to be the real law, against also the Islamic punishment law that was completely against the women's right. All of them, we started to fight. And the result was what? The result was that they started day by day, to put more pressure against any kind of the social movement, against any kind of the democratic demands, any kind of the organization. And at the time of 1980, they banned a lot of organization, a lot of political organization, and also democratic organization. And the women organization also, most of them, they couldn't continue. We worked for 4 years, and we did have all of these times our office openly for everybody, but there is a big, risk was day and night for us also at that time. And few people from my organization, they were arrested, and a lot of other stories that maybe all of you know more or less about Iranian situation. And now about this experience, maybe in the discussion I'm going to talk more. The only thing that at the end I'm just going to put one sentence, and then we go to the next speaker, and at the end we have more time, a little bit, to actually open this time. The struggle continued in Iran, especially these 50% of the population. They didn't accept this government. They didn't accept this Islamization of the society, and always they were very active to open some space, because the women of Iran are the most brave women, I think, that in the situation that they live, and exactly like today in North Africa, exactly what they are doing there. And I hope that my sisters and comrades in North Africa also continue, and they don't do our mistakes. Struggle continues, and I'm sure that we shall come over of this situation. Thank you.